Welcome, race fans, to another beautiful Wednesday night of motor racing here on the platforms of the GSRC. My name is Danny Cressar, and we will kick things off with the Downforce Legends here at the Circuit of the Americas West Layout in Austin, Texas. It should be a fantastic race. We usually see some fantastic racing from the DFL series, and tonight should be absolutely no exception, with Circuit of the Americas being a nice technical windy track, and we should get some very, very good racing indeed. Tonight's going to be a short and sweet one. Unfortunately, we have had to start late due to some technical errors, so I believe everybody's on the grid right now. If I can, I will try and run through them very quickly. So from the first row, Guy Leach of Brett Barker will start. Brady Sagassa in P3 and Adam Maverick in P4. John Merritt and Adam Proctor in P5 and 6. Fourth row, Stuart Ellis and Mikey Hammond, with the fifth row being Gary Wellman and John Baldwin. Across the page, we have Paul Wood and Adam Tice. They're in P11 and P12. Pete Matson and Luke Turner, P13 and 14. Brendan Van Ryn and Greg Padgett in P15 and 16. And Dave Oliver and Aidan Schultz in the last row, which I believe Wayne Visser will actually bring up the last position there in P19. So, should be set to go at any moment now. We can see everybody lined up on the grid, ready to go. It'll be the first of two races here for the Downforce Legends. Should be a decent one tonight. So there we go. You can hear the engines revving. So we should be close to the start. So there go the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And away they go. And it's a decent launch from everyone. And they get away clean, which is a nice change of pace from the usual down towards turn 1. Guy Leach leading the pack. We can see 3, 4 wide almost going in there. Adam Proctor just leading them in P6 right now. A close battle between himself and Mikey Hammond. Hammond. Stuart Ellis following close behind there in P7. Sorry, in P8. That's Stuart Ellis. But everyone has got away cleanly. And as you can see, yes, this is the west layout of Circuit of the Americas, which will mean that the course is almost cut in half. So we have the Snake S's section, and then we go straight to the what would be considered the last sector, deep on the brakes. There goes Gary Wellman, I believe. Just coaching up onto the inside there. There's John Baldwin in behind it all. And as we see, a very good start from everyone. It looks like Lavis trying to get a move here, just in front of John Merritt. Him chasing down Brady Sagassa now. And as they all start to break away, looks like Pete Matson makes a move and Oliver down at the back. And that's Gary Wellman has dropped down a couple of positions. Not sure if there was an incident of any sort. It does look like there was some form of incident at the back. We will try and look at that in just a moment. Adam Lavis now trying to hold off John Merritt as John Merritt tucks into the slipstream. Will he look towards the inside into turn 1? Deep on the brakes. No. Oh, Sagassa does, though. Smoke pouring out of the back of that Radical. And John Merritt's actually managed to tuck in quite well, but he won't have the ideal line going into the SS section, so he'll have to fall back as Adam Proctor just holds off Mikey Hammond there. So good fighting at the moment. And we've still got 13 minutes left in the race. Let's go back and have a look at the incident previously. This was Aidan Schultz just coming around. So someone's rejoined the track and he's just lost traction. Very easy to do. And so is that's car 66. That'd be Greg Padgett. So it looks like synchronized off for both of them. Unfortunate. They'll rejoin with hopefully no significant damage. Have a look at hammer time. Hammer down the inside of Stuart Ellis. I wonder if he'll be able to make this stick. He doesn't have a great line going into the next sector, but Hammond will be able to hold on to the outside. The extra downforce in these cars will be ideal for getting this move done. Shoots up on the inside, gives him the room. They're going to rub. There's hard but fair racing here from both of these guys. Hammond, but he touches the back. And that's going to spin him round. And race control might have something to say about that as we continue on. So here we go, that's Stuart Ellis there. And just gets tapped on the back through the corner. Yeah, not sure what they'll say about that. But on that point, we do have race control in the building. So when he has a chance, he might pop in.
Yeah, how are you, Dan?
Yeah, not too bad. Josh, yourself?
Fantastic for a Wednesday, mate. My working week finished nice and early, so here we are.
That's good. So, not crazy amounts of incidents for you to have to work through. That first one looks to be everyone did it on their own, so nothing to rule. But that one between Stuart Ellis and Mikey Hammond, you come to a decision about that yet, or are you still investigating?
Just having a look at it now.
Yep.
There was definitely nothing malice in it from Mikey. Just always, good, hard, close racing from him. I think it might have just been a little bit of a difference on the brake marker. And as you know, these things, once you've put your nose in a place, there's not much you can do about it. So I'll keep having it squeezing it back to you when I make my mind up.
No worries. We're still deliberating there from the race control room. As Guy Leach crosses the line, 124.230, fastest lap of the race so far, and leading with a significant margin there, almost 2 seconds to Brett Barker. So he might just run away with this one if there is nothing that troubles him later on down the line. Looking at all the gaps, they've significantly increased. Between the middle of the field, there's only a handful of people within that 1 second mark, and one who is within the 0.5. That is Gary Wellman down in P11, chasing down John Baldwin to end up in the top 10, which will be a desired spot because the second race will be a 25-minute race with a reverse grid. No, someone's gone off. I think that's Hammer Time Hammond. I look away from the screen for just a second and everything starts to happen. Let's have a look at what transpired here. So Hammond comes into the S's section. Oh, just gets unsettled on the curb. Again, very easy to do, and avoids his teammate there and everyone else. So nice and safe, but he will lose a ton of positions because of it. And rejoin towards the back. Five minutes 32 into the session. 10 minutes to go. Adam Proctor here in P6, staying very close behind Adam Lavis there in the green car. And both doing a great job, and there is the rule from race control. A 5-second penalty for Michael Hammond for contact with car 73 on lap 3. So not only did he just bin his way out of the race, but he'll take a 5-second penalty for it. So hopefully he'll be able to bring something back in the second race.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I just wanted to do my due diligence and check all the onboards, but nothing malice, just a really, really nearly netcode style tap there. So yeah, just lots of unforced errors tonight, Dan. As I explained to the boys when they joined the server, I said this track is one big corner, so please don't hit each other because it's going to be very difficult.
Yep, just as we saw, that was Adam Tice exiting stage left. And he did the exact same thing that Mikey Hammond did the lap previously, and it looks like, speak of the devil, and he shall try and take him on the inside of the apex, and he does. Mikey Hammond up into P12 due to that mistake. Pete Madsen wants to fight back, but he's taken way too sharp of a line. The back kicks out. He'll have to give the position away, but at least he didn't spin, and so he stays on track, and he'll be able to try and chase down Mikey Hammond for the rest of the lap. But again, a very unfortunate one here for Adam Tice. Just too much curve. There's a little bit of a kicker there. The yellow thing, bang! Right off the track. And hopefully no suspension damage, because that is a severe apex turtle there. So hopefully no damage for that car. As we hit lap 6 in this race. Some of those gaps have started to explode again. One of the closer ones is Dave Oliver, P11, chasing down Gary Wellman for Pete. Oh, and as I speak, Gary Wellman spins the rear tyres and will give that position away. Dave Oliver moves up into P10, which will mean, if he can hold this, he'll start on pole for the upcoming race. It's very unfortunate there by Gary Gary Wellman. And another thing too that I have not noticed until just now looking at the timing screen, Guy Leach is no longer in the lead of this race. He has dropped down to P4. We'll jump on board to see what happened. We're coming up the turn 1, leading the race. On the brakes, and too much, and he will spin. That is exactly what we saw from Gary previously. Actually, we might even catch it just on screen as he tries to get out there. Nope, that was further on the patch. So Guy Leach down into P4 now. Brett Barker leading this race. And he has a 1 second gap to Braden Sagassa behind. That is not what Guy Leach would have wanted. I may have jinxed him saying that all things considered, he would have probably taken this to the end, but unfortunately that is not the case. So Guy Leach will have a ton of work to do if he wants to try and climb up a couple of spots before the end of this race, but with a 4 second gap to P3, I don't know if that's going to be possible, but we will wait and see as we jump on board with Adam Proctor here. P6, still chasing down Adam Lavis. This has been par for the course since the start of this race. Lavis doing a great job holding back. A tale of two Adams, I suppose. And Proctor, just the one following, hasn't been able to make a move thus far, but as they wind down to the end of this race, maybe he will be able to make something happen here. As I get a race control message, just says Stuart Ellis. Maybe they just wanted to put him on notice. Or maybe.
I didn't do very good. Yeah, so I was just on board with Stuart Ellis at the time, and I spotted an unsafe rejoin. So very hard, very, very hard to get these things around this track, as we know, and even harder to be a blue flag. So unfortunately, Greg had a bit of an off, and yes, just Stuart Ellis made contact with him. So
unfortunate there. So yes, a 10-second penalty there for Greg Paget for an unsafe rejoin. That is one of the things you must do as a racing driver. It is very tempting to try and rejoin the track as fast as possible to lose the least amount of time. But you must be wary of the other drivers on track. It's all about respect and fair racing. Adam Lavis locking it up into turn 1. That gave Adam Proctor a bit of a chance, but unfortunately Adam Proctor followed the same line, so he wasn't able to dive into the inside as Energizer 99. Let's go Aussie Racers. I agree. They're doing a fantastic job at the moment. And again, Adam Proctor just following nice and closely. Dave Oliver as well moves up in a P10, but he's not happy with a pole start on the next race. He wants to finish as high as possible on this one as well. So he's chasing down John Baldwin very, very close, and Mikey Hammond has also got this. They come together. Hammond's going to try and go around the outside as they move towards the later part of the track. He won't be able to hold the line, unfortunately. He'll get boxed in. John Baldwin taking the primary line through that apex. However, he does get up to Dave Oliver. So Mikey Hammond into P10. Dave Oliver will try and take the inside. Drifts into the next corner. What a fantastic move. Couldn't hold it, though. Loses the speed. Mikey Hammond has a little bit of a touch there. My lord, they're leaving it all on the line. But unfortunately, Dave Oliver will come out second best there. Snap of oversteer. Managing to catch it, but he'll lose the position. So Mikey Hammond will stay P10. John Boardman stays P9, but Dave Oliver unfortunately loses out and will join back in P11. We still have 3.5 minutes to go in this session. And Mikey Hammond is really trying to push. Unfortunately, 2 positions down from where he started due to the off that he had. The biggest mover at the moment is Dave Oliver, the one on your screen. 6 positions gained from the start of the race. So that is nothing to sniff at. He's doing a good job so far. I wonder if he'll be able to try and take the position back with the limited time that we have left. Stuart Ellis has now managed to catch up to the 2 Adams. He is now in a prime position to try and take Proctor. He looks down on the inside. He'll have to go hard on the brake if he wants to make a move. No, he doesn't. He takes a safe line. These cars are very unpredictable with high amounts of braking, so you don't want to try and tempt the rear end to snap out, since it is not ideal. Instead, you'll fall back in line. It's basically a little bubble of 3 here with these cars. Adam Lavis, Adam Proctor, Stuart Ellis. The ones on your screen. Brett Barker in the lead of this race with a 4-second gap. Now, I will tempt face yet but twice. If he can hold on with no incidents, he will easily take the win of this race and end up starting P10 in the next. A small tap to the back of Adam Proctor by Stuart Ellis, but he is the one that comes out second best. And he will lose that position. Paul Wood skates right on by, and Stuart Ellis down into P8. An unfortunate one for him, down one position from the start of the race. Paul Wood, though, P7, up 4 positions, so a good start there for the Aussie racers. Steve? And he'll be now trying to chase down Adam Proctor, see if he can gain an extra position as we wind this down. 2.5 minutes to go. But he is 3 seconds back from that fight there, so I don't think he'll be able to do that in the time that we have left. Looking around here, John Merritt chasing down Braden Sagassa for P2. He's doing a great job right behind the purple car there. And John Merritt, we know, very, very fast member here at the GSRC, so I would not expect anything less than balls to the wall driving for him for the end of this race. We will see. There are a couple of opportune moments, the last turn and the first turn being 2 of them. However, you do have to be mindful of that braking turn, otherwise you will see what happened to Stuart Ellis. Very easy to get tapped on the inside, or tap the car in front of you, for that matter, as we go across the line here. So winding down, 1 minute left. This will be the last lap, I believe. So Sagassa will take the inside line. John Merritt on the outside line, runs slightly wide, and unfortunately that has cost him time. Drops back to about 5/10 as we are given a racing incident there from Dave Oliver and John Baldwin on lap 9. So no fault found there. It is play on. John Merritt doing very well to try and keep to the back of this purple car, but unfortunately he'll have to try and get a move on when he wants to get this pass done. Losing just a bit of time, going slightly wide onto turn 1. It didn't work very well in his favour. John is an ex-go-kart. His car suited him well. There you go. That explains a lot. So the twitchy nature of the go-kart translates itself... Well, let's be real. The Radical's just a big, giant go-kart. Meets all the characteristics. So John Hot Lap Merritt, as they come around the final couple of turns... There's the checkered flag out, and that'll be for Brett Barker as he comes across the line. There we go. Now Braden Sagassa close there. John snaps out to the end. And so unfortunately, will not be able to get it. He tried at his best though. Adam Lavis comes across in P5. Proctor in P6. Paul Wood in P7. Stuart Ellis finishes P8. And Mikey Hammer Time Hammond will come by with a P9 finish, and Dave Oliver will finish P10, which will mean that he will start on pole for the next race. Pete Matson now coming across the line, finishing in P11, 2 positions gained from the start of this race. A good result there for Pete. John Baldwin, P12. Gary Wellman, a couple of incidents for him, drops down 4 positions. Unfortunate for him. Adam Tice as well with down 2. Finishing at P14. Aiden Schultz. He will cross the line here in P15. And Greg Padgett down 1 lap. He's actually just going to go straight into the pits, it seems. And Brendan Van Ryn just coming around the final sector now. And that will conclude race 1 here of the Downforce Legends. An interesting one to be sure. Guy Leach seemed like he had it in the bag, but then an unfortunate braking incident in turn 1 caused him to spin. And he ended up losing that out to Brett Barker. So now we just wait for the warm-up. We'll go into the results page here.
Interesting stat for you as well, Dan. So 17 people on the grid tonight, as far as I can tell. There was 14 meatballs that race.
Oh, my. Oh. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That is a lot. That
very
is a
hard,
lot.
very hard combination tonight.
Yeah.
Sausage curbs everywhere, and these things just are not a fan of curbs.
Yeah, that's fair. They definitely aren't like Energizer in the chat said. They're basically like go-karts, and go-karts aren't like any sort of bump at all, and these are no different. So, looking at the results for race 1, Brett Barker takes the win. And unfortunately for Guy Leach ends up P4, but at least managed to save something there after that. It's been Braden Sagasta in P2, John Merritt in P3, Adam Lavis in P5, managing to hold off Adam Proctor in at P6. Paul Wood, Stuart Ellis, Mikey Hammond, and Dave Oliver round out your top 10. Pete Matthew finishes P11, John Baldwin P12, Gary Wellman in P13, Adam Tice and Aidan Schultz P14 and 15, Brendan Van Ryn in P16, Greg Padgett in P17, and the bottom two did not participate. So, of course, that means we do have a 25-minute race coming up, reverse grid, which will mean that Dave Oliver will start on pole and Brett Barker will start on P10. So, noticing the pace difference with some of these guys, it might actually be an absolute riot when we get to it. It'll be interesting to watch regardless. And we'll see if they can keep it as clean as they did for lap 1 of the first race. Or if it's a little bit more chaotic with the faster guys coming through. Well, no, Brett, Friday IndyCars, Adam Lavis, the first to win 2 races this season, Magny Cours Friday. Yes! And we will go over that with the schedule later on in the broadcast. But yes, Magny Cours is where the IndyCars will visit, or the US Open Wheel. I'm trying not to say that, which will not be named. So here we are, the grid for your second race for the Downforce Legends. Dave Oliver and Mikey Hammond will take the front row. Stuart Ellis and Paul Wood behind. Adam Proctor and Adam Lavis in row 3. Row 4 will be Guy Leach and John Merritt. And row 5 will be Braden Sagasa and Brett Barker. Pete Mattermatson, row 6, with John Baldwin starting alongside. Gary Wellman and Adam Tyson, row 7. Aidan Schultz and Brendan Van Ryn in row 8. And Greg Padgett and Luke Turner in row 9. Alright, so our car's just gridding up. Do I have a Barney cam on this one? I do not. Unfortunately, can't see from the flag waver. I'll just have to start from here. And we'll just wait for everybody to grid up, and then we'll be able to get this show underway. Josh, what are your thoughts on this second one?
Well, I just hope that more people make it through to the checkered flag without meatballing themselves. It's never fun having
Fair enough. So we are away, and I believe I've got a visitor here in the broadcast room. It's Adam Tice. Good morning to you, or good afternoon.
Good afternoon, good evening, Daniel, Josh. I'd love to help you out. I can't see anything on the stream here, Daniel. So I'm not sure what I'm commentating on to help you out.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Is Discord having some issues?
I think you've chosen the wrong window.
Have I? Oh, rookie error.
Just tie it up there. Adam, sorry?
I know what's happened. My apologies. It will be this.
We've got our first big incident.
Ooh, that's better.
All right. So there looks like to be some incidents happening at the back. I can see that Adam Proctor has been involved in one of these. Let's have a look. Comes into the corner and goes round wide. Oh, gets tapped by Braden Sagasa. Okay, and that shunts him wide, so only one car involved. Unfortunate there. He goes back. There's a couple of others that are registering as off tracks. But as we resolve lap 2, 1:25.919 from Stuart Ellis is the fastest lap of the race so far. Pete Matson just getting overtaken there. It looks like Gary Wellman and John Baldwin fighting each other. There's Aidan Schultz in the DHL livery with Brandon Van Ryn and Mikey Hammond. Mikey Hammond trying to go around the outside, didn't quite work, and manages to hold him off. But Pete Matson, the bright yellow DHL car, close behind, trying to maintain that track position. And Aidan Schultz looking to the inside, hard on the brakes, can't get the move done. There's a slight tap, no harm, no foul. Pete Matson still well ahead. Looks like Mikey Hammer time. Hammond tries to go around the outside. Brendan's trying to hold the inside line, which will be more advantageous. Oh, but Pete Matson goes a little too hard. Spins off the track and will lose that position. Aiden Schultz up in a P9 now. Lavis got airborne on lap 1. Interesting. I don't see... I'll have to try and track down that incident because nothing reports for him, but I'm assuming he probably hit one of those turtles on the inside, as we saw a couple of cars do on the previous race.
Yeah, they're nasty, Daniel. I collected them myself on the first race, and if you hit one, it kind of aims you towards another one. So that's probably where Adam has gone astray, hitting one of those turtle things, the killer curbs.
Very easy to do. It's always tempting to try and take a bit more track, a bit more track, a bit more track, and then it'll bite you. And that's exactly why those things are there. And race control will deem a racing incident between Adam Proctor and Braden Sagassa. Just unfortunately too close between the both of them. No one truly at fault. It will be play on. Guy Leach chasing down John Merritt here. 0.3 the gap. As John Merritt gets a bit twitchy under braking. Guy Leach not in a position to overtake. So he will maintain that 4th position. Stuart Ellis doing a great job at the front. 2.8 seconds down the road to Paul Wood. And Dave Oliver starting P1 and currently P3. So he did not get robbed as many positions as I thought. He might crash at the same time as the other next corner up. Okay. Let's see if I can find that there. Race control. So Guy Leach and Brady Sagassa also deemed a racing incident. So no fouls on this one. We are right to play ball. And the gaps really have extended now from everybody. Guy Leach the closest. Actually, no. Going to be Braden Sagassa in P12 is the closest as Adam Proctor tries to look on the inside, realised that it probably wasn't going to work. And Sagassa now will try and follow Brendan Van Ryn. Here we go. He'll try and go down the inside, I believe. It'll be hard on the brakes towards turn 1, but he's got to be sure not to lock up and spin. Will you see a plume of smoke? No, that's very gradual and a great move. So Sagassa up into P11 now, and Proctor sort of got left to dry there, and he'll be all the way back. So Brendan could have lost 2 positions easily, but was lucky and only lost 1. 10-second penalty there between Brett Barker and Adam Lavis. Okay, so that was significant enough to warrant a 10-second penalty. See if we can go back and just have a look at it.
I've just noticed Adam is down. Well, he's just moved to P14. I was just seeing before he was 15. But yeah.
So this might be a little later in... Yeah, he gets... He gets tapped and then gets hit by Aiden Schultz. Sorry, John Merritt. My mistake, they both have yellow cars. So I don't think that's the incident that they were referring to. That happened a little later on. And that may be the 10-second penalty dealt there.
Yeah, this is the one that the incident was for. Yeah, Brett just missed his marker a little bit, and it was an accident, but yeah, it's very impactful.
It's all right. We always have to be paying attention to the other drivers on track. We're not the only one driving, and so we have to be mindful of this. But again, I do sympathise. It is very, very easy to lock up these cars. When you're going really fast and you've got all that extra downforce on the car, yeah, it turns like a dream. But as soon as you lose that under braking, especially if you're following another car, that is something that people sometimes get caught out on. They forget about the turbulent air and the lack of downforce that you get following another car. Your car's not punching the hole in the air, the car in front of you is. So all of that air that would be applying downforce to the front of your car is instead going over the front of it. So some people forget that. They go into the same brake marker in the same zone at a faster speed because they're following, and then they get a lock-up and slide into the cars ahead. So an unfortunate one there.
Oh, I was just going to say, the other thing Josh mentioned in the race control briefing at the start, the fact that the track is pretty much all corners, except for the big long straight and the mini straight down the back. So you're always kind of thinking, you don't really get a chance to have a bit of a breather, but particularly when you follow on like this, John Merritt's in the middle of a sandwich between Dave Oliver and Guy Leach. So they're, 3, 4 and 5 at the moment.
Yeah, the technical nature of this track does lend itself Moves such as this. John Merritt on the inside. But that's the problem with that move. You've got to try and pull the car up, and he didn't. And Dave Oliver will stay ahead. What a great job here from P3. John Merritt now under attack from Guy Leach as they come through. This has allowed Brett Barker back into the fight. We've got 4 for P3. And they've kept it clean so far. Guy Leach goes very wide going the motocross route. Loses out to Brett Barker there. Drops down to P6. And, wow, just missed that corner so badly. And will now have to work extra hard to try and catch back up to the pack of 3 ahead of him.
And, as we see, Braden Sagas has just gone off the side there as he makes a move on 135. I don't know if that was self-inflicted or if there was a little bit of contact there, but Braden's moved back to the position that he started in, so he'd be okay with that. It wouldn't be super impressed. He'd rather, I'm sure, be further up the field, but he'd be looking to pass Gary Wellman as quick as possible, who's moved up 5 spots tonight.
He just went very deep into the penultimate corner. Oh, sorry, that's the second last corner. There's a little bit of a tap there to the John Player special livery there from Gary Wellman. And Braden Sagassa now again, he'll try and look for an inside move. He'll draft up, shoot off onto the inside, apply a little bit of a arcing curve. Very well done. We'll move up into P8. Wellman drops down 1. Baldwin and Schultz will stay as they are. John Baldwin is encroaching to the back of that black Radical SR8. Whether or not he will pass is a different story, but Sagas has got the move done. And so he's got clear track ahead. So Hayden Schultz in the DHL livery there. Following close behind. He's doing a good job sticking to the back of this black and gold SR8. No opportunity to make a move thus far. As John Merritt and Brett Barker are having a little fight of their own there up the front for P3. And Guy Leach has dropped down 2.7 seconds, so that was a very significant off for him. And has possibly put him out of contention for that spot. So 10 minutes have gone, 15 to go. Lap 8. And it seems as though everybody started going on the straight and narrow. I haven't seen many incidents pop up in the event log, so maybe it'll be straightforward to the end.
Yeah, looks like Aiden Schultz just playing the waiting game just a little bit, I think. He's fairly close to a couple of cars in front of him. It is a track, obviously, where there's a massive amount of runoff. So it's hopefully, hopefully he steers clear of any trouble, and he'll be looking to utilise the turn-ins on the corners and keeping away from these turtle cones, which I became familiar with, unfortunately. As we see him just ever so slightly, he's edged towards the back of John Baldwin.
Throughout all this, John Merritt managed to get the move done on Dave Oliver. He moves up into P3. Dave Oliver now fighting Brett Barker or P4. Quickly cut over there. So here's Brett Barker in P5. Chasing down the cars ahead of him. And Stuart Ellis away with it 8 seconds down the road from Paul Wood. And Paul Wood himself has a 1.6 second gap to John Merritt in P3. So all things considered, doing really well as Braden Sagassa has had an off. And I wonder if he's come together with Brendan Van Ryn. Between those two, let's have a look. Oh, yep, so that's what the turtle will do. So he goes off and just waits on the track. He didn't see that turtle there. Goes over the turtle for the second time just for good measure. And it looks like Sagassa might have done something himself. Oh, that's a heavy snap. God, he's lucky of the runoff areas. Oh, he still makes it to the wall.
And it's real easy to do there, Daniel, coming around that long right-hander. If you get on the gas too early, it does snap out on you. And just a bit of a shout out to Brendan Van Ryn and Greg Paget, my teammates. They've been out of the sim for a little while, especially Greg, who's had lung transplant surgery. So it's Greg's first night back in the sim, and for all intents and purposes, he's doing pretty well. Brendan's a little bit rusty, and so he'll be looking to try to avoid those turtle cones.
We're very thankful for the well recovery there of Greg Paget. It's great to see him back in the sim for sure. While we were all looking at that replay, Dave Oliver has had an incident and is now out of that top fight. And here we are. Very tight on the inside. Too much Jandal coming out of turn one. He will spin around and unfortunately lose a ton of positions as he gets his way back on track. It's an unfortunate one there. He drops down all the way to P7. So that means 6 positions down from the start of this race, of course, starting on pole.
Tell you what, though, Stuart Ellis has just made hay while the sun shines, hasn't he? He's got a nearly 8-second gap, so and the fastest lap of the race. So he's really well and truly nailed the combination of the Radical and Coda.
Yep, it's definitely worked out for him. He's the only car thus far in this race to have achieved a 123. He barely achieved it. It's a 123.99, but it still counts. So 7-8 seconds down the road. Paul Wood must be having the greatest time ever. Looking in his mirrors, there's nobody there. Looking ahead of him, nobody there. He's just having a nice time trial out on track, but he's doing well. Guy Leach was doing the exact same at the midpoint of the last race and ended up spinning going into turn one. So you might not be racing against people, but you definitely still have to be paying attention, because any small mistake will mean that those people will come right back at you. As John Merritt is now encroaching on the personal space of Paul Wood. He has brought that gap down to the 1 second mark. The draft will start to work, but the draft really only matters on the main straight. There's nowhere else that gives you a nice clean line to take advantage of it, especially not through the Esses section as they are right now. We'll cut over to John Merritt here, P3 at the moment. Looking down at that Bailey Ladders entry of Paul Wood, trying to maximise each and every corner entry, trying to minimise the amount of time between himself and the SR8 in front. And it seems as though under braking, John definitely has the advantage. It's gone down from a second deficit to 0.6 at the moment. John Merritt doing an incredible job, but unfortunately that tail does get happy from time to time, and that's where he loses all the time gained. So he's just going to be a little bit more methodical here. Keep the car online, and he'll most likely be able to make it. 15 minutes and 22 seconds into this race. We are about 10 minutes away from the end. And Paul Wood is now starting to really crack under pressure. Look at the gap there. It's come down to about 0.3 of a second. John might be in with a chance to overtake on this section. Let's have a look. They cross the line. And as they go down towards turn one, it does look like John Merritt might be a little bit too far back. So it'll be another game of follow the leader. For the moment, Paul Wood will definitely be looking in his rear view mirror a lot more than usual. Or side mirrors, I should say. The Radical doesn't have a rear view mirror.
I think Brett Barker might fancy his chances of getting on the podium here, Daniel. We still, we just clicked over 16 minutes, so there's just under 9 minutes to go, and he's really not too far behind these two. So, as we know, if you're in a battle with someone or with a pack of people, as John Merritt just gets a bit twitchy. If you're in a battle with someone, you tend to slow down. That gives the car behind, who is not fighting anyone, a chance to get on the grab onto the end of the tail of the battle. And so he's definitely, he's down just over 1 second behind John Merritt. So Brett Barker would definitely be thinking podium, I'm sure.
He might have a fair chance at it, but only if John Merritt and Paul Wood fight very heavily towards the back end of this race. As the speed suggests, John Merritt with a 124.2 on that last lap. Actually, they'll cross the line. We'll get refresh stats right now. So it's a 124.45 from Merritt and a 124.17 from Brett Barker. That is 0.3 faster. So John Merritt, of course, with that snap going into the back end of the circuit, and that would have allowed Brett Barker to close the gap. I'm curious if we have a look at the lap times here. We'll go plus and minus 1. So there they are, and Barker. So Merritt was faster on lap 8. Barker faster lap 9. Sorry, no, Merritt was faster lap 8, lap 9, lap 10, lap 11. So lap 12 was the only time that Merritt was slower than Barker. So yes, this will come down to Paul Wood and whether or not he fights heavy for this position. If they do, that'll allow Brett Barker to get back under the 1 second mark, and then maybe he'll be able to give a fight. But as it stands, John Merritt is leaving him in the dust, currently at a 1.3 second deficit to P3.
Further down the pack, I was just having a look further down. We got Aiden Schultz up 7 spots, so he's done really, really well. But he's in a battle with Adam Lavis at the moment. So two guys who know how to race. So Adam will just play a little bit of the waiting game so far, because Aiden does tend to get a little bit nervous when he's being hunted, but certainly won't make it easy for Adam Lavis at all.
Lavis is doing a great job here. Right behind. Nice and clean lines. Not getting so much time through the braking zone. That's crazy.
I think his helmet says it all, doesn't it? There's a shark on the hunt right now.
So here it is. That's Lavis. You can see the big bright green car. He'll try and shoot up down the inside. Hard on the brakes. It's a very tight line. He won't be able to get the speed out of it. You can see that snap. That's why that's not an ideal line. Aiden Schultz will stay in P8. And Adam Lavis will have to reset and try again on the next go round. You can make it work. We saw Sagassa do it a couple of times in the previous race. But for you to get that to work, you need to be well in their draft, and you also need to apply a generous braking curve. Otherwise, or you could just do that. Yep, you could have your competitor completely bin a corner, and then you just go around the outside. So Adam Lavis up in a P8, Aiden Schultz unfortunately just tweaking the back of that car. He'll drop down to P9.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Aiden, because he would have been trying to keep his eyes ahead of him rather than in the rearview mirror. He won't settle for getting past. He'll try and get that position back.
So throughout that, John Merritt did manage to get P2 away from Paul Wood, but Paul Wood has something to say about it. Right up there with the Echka Toyota entry. And he's not letting this position go without a fight. And Brett Barker, due to that pass, has managed to come down within the 1 second mark. So this could be on right to the line for P2. We'll see how it develops. But if John Merritt's previous pace was anything to go by, Paul Wood's going to have a monumental task to try and keep up, let alone pass that car. If John Merritt can possibly screw up a couple of corners, maybe that'll bring him back for a fight. John does seem like the type of person to not try and repeat the same mistake more than once. We will see. In any case, Stuart Ellis is well and truly away with this race. 7.7 seconds down the road. I don't see any threat at all. So as long as this continues, he will take the checkered flag at the end of this race. Adam Lavis now within attack position to Gary Wellman there in P7. Quickly cut over here. There's the Bailey Ladders entry. John Player's special of Gary Wellman. Fantastic livery if ever I've seen one. You can pretty much put it on anything and it'll look great. Black and gold. Lavis down the inside. That's actually going to be really, really beneficial for the second last corner. Let's have a look. Yep.
Wellman, Gary's back out.
Yeah, he'll just back out of that. Actually, no, he's going into the pits. That'll be why. So he'll lose a couple of positions there going into pit lane. But that will allow Lavis up into P7 and Schultz into P8.
Are there scheduled pit stops in the race? I don't think there are there, Daniel? No. Oh, it's okay. So he must have had a drama. Okay.
Yes. In the Downforce Legends, these are sprints start to finish. You do not need to pit unless you break your car.
Oof, that was a glorious incident that put him in the pits as well, if I may say so. He caught a curb, then did an endo after it.
comes. Oh,
Whoa! Oh, that's so fast. Oh, he's caught it. Oh!
And then
oh.
Oh! Okay. That's one
That'll
way
do
to
it,
break
all day of the week.
your. That's one way to break your drive shaft. He didn't. It's still working, but woo. Oh, actually, I really wish that I was better with the camera controls, because if I could pause it at the moment he did the endo, and then just quickly overlay text that says, "Look, a penny." That would be great. Brett Barker, lap 17. Brett Barker with a 1:23.972. So Brett Barker has stepped up the pace as he kicks out just a little going into turn 1. He is desperately trying to catch Paul Wood and John Merritt here for P2, but has extended out to the 1 second mark. So it's a little bit of a yo-yo with him. He gets very, very close, sets the fastest lap, but then drops out beyond the 1 second mark. So maybe the pressure is starting to get to him. Time is dwindling down. We've only got about 2 minutes left in this session for him to try and make a position here. Paul Wood still in decent contention within the 1 second mark, but John Merritt is lapping faster than him. John Merritt with a 1:24.14, Paul Wood with a 1:24.22. So as it stands, I think John Merritt might have this one in the bag for P2, but you never know. There's still race to be raced.
Yeah, Paul Wood's done a great job to not let John get away. So he'd be disappointed with losing P2, but certainly keeping in his keeping. Oh, as he grabs a bit of the twitch coming in on the right-hander there, which does obviously he's lost a bit of pace, so it allows Brett Barker to move up under to about half a second now. So what do we have? Is this the last lap? Barney's waving. Yeah, Barney's waving the white flag. So half a second. Big long straight. I don't know if he's going to be able to get him up on the straight, but Brett Barker will certainly be looking to try and grab P3.
A little too far back for turn 1, but if he can try and nail the exit, he might be able to close the gap. Then what will happen is they'll come into the SS section. We'll stay on board here with Brett Barker and just have a look at how flowing this part of the track is. You see those orange bits there on the corners? Don't touch them. Kind of like how Brett Barker did, but he got away with it because it was nice and gentle. It'll lift your car and you will go for an adventure. Hard on the brakes. Sliding out, well controlled though. Didn't allow it to over-rotate. The gap is significant though. Half a second and not many places to overtake. Minimum speed is going to be the key here through some of these corners. He's closed up the gap now. Brett Barker goes for the wider line, tries to tighten the arc into the corner. It's doing well so far. Stuart Ellis is coming up to the start line. Brett Barker tries to go round the outside on the last sector of the track, and he will not give this up without a fight. Hard into the brakes. There's the finish line, and that'll be Stuart Ellis taking the win. And as they come to the final line, who is ahead? It's Paul Wood. Brett Barker's just there, but he's run out of track. And Paul Wood will hold on to P3, but it was a fight all the way to the line, and Brett Barker should be proud of that. Not only did he gain 6 positions throughout that race, but he kept that fight alive all the way to the line.
That was a good fight, Daniel. And there's not many tracks in the world where the start-finish line is so close to the last corner. Normally we're, as we're on board with Adam Lavis, sorry. Normally the start-finish line's further up, where we can see a drag race to the finish, but here it's pretty close to the last corner.
That is correct. It's a similar situation to Mount Panorama. Your official starting line is further up the track, but the finish line is the bridge. So Coda has a similar situation here. That is the finish line on your screen, but the start line is much, much further down towards the timing tower. So John Baldwin coming across in P9. Gary Wellman will cross in P10, and Brandon Van Ryn. The last one to finish here is Greg Padgett is out a lap down. Just coming around the penultimate corner now. 5 positions gained from the start of this race. We'll be quite happy with that. We'll come across in P11 to finish out our second feature race. And that was a decent race, to be honest. It was quite entertaining. Stuart Ellis really did just take it away from the start, but great fights all throughout.
There was great fights all throughout, and I'm sure Stuart also be very, very happy with taking out P1 in the end there, as we see Brendan making the most of his camera time. But so Stuart Ellis is P1, John Merritt in Echuca Toyota Pulse Tuning coming P2, and then Paul Wood from Aussie E-Races rounded up the podium with Brett Barker. As we saw there, what was that, 0.15 behind, with Guy Leach, Adam Labus, Mikey Hammond, Aidan Schultz, John Baldwin, Gary Wilman, Brendan Van Ryn, Greg Padgett, Dave Oliver, Brendan Sagassa, Pete Matson, Adam Proctor, and yours truly. You didn't race because I'm boring you guys.
Yes, you yourself, Luke Turner and Wayne Visser, not competing in that one. So that is the end of the Downforce Legends. Now we'll go into our post-race show as we prepare for the GT4s. Coming up a little bit later, they'll be coming to us from Donington Park, the National Layout, which is a fantastic circuit for GT4 racing. Of that, there is no doubt. And we'll just cut across. See if anybody will join us in the booth for a post-race chat. It looks like Stuart Ellis is here. Speaking of taking out the top step of the podium for that second race, Stuart Ellis. How was it?
Yeah. Oh, tough. It was a tough night out there. Jeez, it was just so difficult to manage the off tracks and just the risk of a slowdown. I was a bit lucky in that second race that I got away at the start and just manage that element of it, because when you're behind and you've got to push, you've got to take so much risk. And such a long race with only 15x on the incident limit, I was a bit cautious.
Hey Stuart, it's Adam here. I was in the first race and I found it very difficult with the curbs and the S's. Did you have much drama with those during your racing at all?
Yeah, particularly when you're following someone, because you can't see that well. So you really get caught and you can get close to one of those, inside curbs and go flying. So yeah, it was really hard to follow it closely through there. Very hard to pass as well. So yeah, tough night. And it was, for me, I was just trying to manage, slow downs, because you'd lose a bunch of spots. And first race for me was a bit of a disaster because I got caught up in a few incidents, and it was just tough for everyone, I think.
So in the end, from race 1, race 2, obviously you're much happier with. Also the gap, you ended up gap in the field by about 7 seconds. Is that a surprise?
It was a little. I thought, once, I think Brett had clearly had the pace tonight. He was the fastest guy out there by a fair way, and guys are always quick as well. John was there, so I thought if those guys get to the front of that pack, they're going to start hunting me down. So I was just trying to keep it clean, because I thought the last thing I need is a 1.5 second slowdown or something to give them a big chunk of that back. So I just kept steady. I made lots of mistakes though, I must say. It was pretty average. But managed to hang in there while they were battling away. I think that just sort of helped me, because it's so hard to pass that they were, to get overtakes done, they would have lost a lot of time. So I just got lucky, I think.
And yourself, are you a fan of the combination, the Radical and Coda combination, or would you rather just never see it return for as long as you live?
Oh, look, I think it's always good to have a challenge. It throws something in the mix. I mean, I think these cars really suit the flowing circuits, the fast flowing circuits. Around Phillip Island or something, they'd just be amazing. But it always throws up something different. You've got to manage different aspects of the race, and just throw it in there. Everyone's in the same boat, so you just got to try and work it out, I guess.
As we see, New Hampshire is New Hampshire, then the Legacy Lime Rock Park track, and Road Atlanta, so which rounds out the season. So we have one of those in particular that you're looking forward to, or it's not really too much of a concern?
Well, they're all a concern. Road Atlanta I really like. It's probably a bit curb heavy, so that's going to be a challenge. I'll see what that's like to get around in these cars. Another thing to manage, but so that's probably the pick of the bunch for me.
Awesome. Well, Daniel, you have anything else for Stuart?
Just going to mention there. You mentioned. Oh God, I just blanked. What was the Phillip Island? You said Phillip Island would be a really good track here for the Downforce Legend cars. You're right. It would actually be a really nice flowing track. But have a look at Lime Rock Park on the calendar there. That's about as go-karty as you're going to get. I'm curious to how fast you guys are going to lap.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's you always think you're going fast, and then you get into practice, and someone's half a second faster, and you're like, all right, okay, can go a bit quicker. So these cars are always on the limit, so they're a lot of fun to drive. I really enjoy driving them. So yeah, we'll have a crack. Everyone will be stuck into it, so it'll be good racing. These guys are so good to race with. It's always great fun. You can race wheel to wheel with them. Everyone gives you room. It's really good fun.
Yes, they're fun to race, but they're awesome to watch. So thank you very much for that, mate. Congrats on your win. And,
yeah, thank you.
We'll see you on the next one.
All right, thanks, boys. Great broadcast. Really enjoy it.
Thank you. We'll cross over now to Aidan Schultz, who's jumped in the commentary box. Mate, how did you think you went on that one?
Hey, I thought I'd jump in. I shouldn't even have been racing, to be honest. I'm going through a bit of personal stuff at the moment, so I've been a little bit missing in action, but I've had issues with my PC, so I use that just to try and reset it up. Trucker's going to spend some time before Fuji on the weekend, so I just wanted to jump in and say sorry that I haven't been there the last couple of weeks commentating with you, but I'll be back next week, and yeah, I'm happy to sit here in the commentary booth while I try and do the GT4s, but yeah, mate, yeah, no reason for me to jump in apart from to go apologies that I haven't been there the last couple of weeks.
No worries, mate.
I hope Joe gets your issues sorted, mate, because you probably end up in my split, so...
Oh, well, I worked on them then. You saw in that race I started last both times. I was working on it in the background. So I think I've got something sorted. I felt better in the second race, but I'm just utilising it to set it up. I should be behind the comms, but we got the Fuji race on the weekend, so I really need to get it sorted before that.
That's fair enough. But hopefully you'll get that all sorted. I also am competing in the Fuji 8 hour. Done a bit of practice this week, so hopefully I'm on for a decent result. But that'll depend.
Well, I'm happy to sit here, boys. Well, I'm in the car for the GT4s, and you can talk to me or whatever. And I'm happy to be here in the commentary booth if you'd like me to stay up here.
Yeah, it's up to you, mate.
Can't say I can commentate on the race, but I can commentate on my lack of ability in crashing, possibly. So that might be interesting.
No worries. You just chill there, and we'll cut to you if we need to. Not a problem.
That might work out good because I've actually got to jump off. I've got some stuff to do. So yeah.
No worries. It's a big giant card shuffle here tonight, but we'll manage. All right. So what we will do is we'll go to a short break. Before we do, let's run us through our sponsors to help us put on this racing. That'll be Flash Graphics, M-Wave Australia, Login Systems, Orbic, Waste Options, Player One Sim Gear, Lobesy Racing, and Pure Tasmanian Sprayton and non-alcoholic cider. We thank you all for your support of the club, and that support allows us to do what we love to do. Okay, so we'll go for a short break. Please don't go anywhere. GT4s will be up on the other side of this one. Once pictures start coming in from Donington Park, we will come up, and then commentary will resume shortly after. But for now, goodbye.
years, and Dave is on our team, and he let his membership slip. So I don't think Trent took many seconds to dive on that number, but it hasn't updated the system yet.
Excellent. And throughout all that, I am embarrassed to admit that the audio was not switched on, so I have been talking to absolutely no one. Oh, it's still going well here on Wednesday. The lap 6 of 14. Thank you, everybody who was still tuning in. That ending commentary, if you're wondering why, that was why. So lap 6 of 14. 6 minutes and 38 seconds into this session. Jordan Malcolm is leading this race with 5 seconds down the road from John Merritt. An excellent fight between John Merritt and the close pack behind him. There's actually 8 cars behind him. All within that close pack. Everyone within 1 second. It is a heated fight for everyone up there. And Race Control will deal a 5-second penalty to John Merritt for not giving racing room with Trent Lavis on lap 4. So it's a tough one there for John, but rules are rules, and he will have to try and drive harder to try and make up for that penalty.
Well, I'll say hello for the night then, I assume, Dan. How you going, everyone? So, unfortunately, John just got a little bit of understeer. Now, that's understandable, but he took the position from taking the move, so unfortunately, because he didn't redress it, I have to fix it with a penalty.
Yep. It is unfortunate, but that is how
Great battle, though, all the same.
It was a great battle, 2x2, as they went down into that chicane. And again, no major damage done to anyone, but there's our entitled room. And even if you do slightly lose control of your car, you still have to abide by those rules. So unfortunate there for John Merritt, but he won't let it get him down. And he will just try and push on. As Trent Lavis slotting in right behind that McLaren and trying to make a move for himself. Just can't quite get the legs on it, it seems, as they come into turn 1. But a good drive nonetheless. Jordan Malcolm still with the fastest lap of the race, 108.96. As Jeff Adams is trying to get past Al Sharp here in the BMW, the Mobil 1 BMW there. Fantastic livery, I must say, red and black, looks really nice.
Have they updated these GT4s and they got DRS or something? Unbelievable to see a train this late in the race.
No DRS for the GT4. I don't even know how that would actually... I wonder if a DRS-capable wing on a GT4 car would be something to watch. But no, this is just characteristic of Donington. Donington is a fantastic track, especially for these types of races. Donington very, very famous for the BTCC calendar and especially the national circuit. A lot of different formulas will race around here. A lot of different homegrown events as well. But it's just a really good track for racing, and these guys are taking it to full effect as we come across now for lap 9. And Jordan Malcolm has managed to squeeze it to 7 seconds now. He's absolutely away with it. Hopefully he will be able to just maintain the lead of this race, unlike Guy Leach in that first race of the DFL. He was in the lead, then unfortunately cooked it going into turn 1. So Jeff Adams makes the move. He goes up into P8 with a 1.5 second gap to the pack ahead. He'll have some work to do, as Adam Lavis is just trying to stay on the back of that pack, slightly extending more so than the cars ahead, but doing a good job nonetheless. We'll jump back a couple of positions there to Gary Cousins in P11, chasing down Tim Harris in that interestingly coloured BMW.
Really interesting tonight today, and this is a track where I'm happy to be educated by the boys coming to the booth afterwards, but it really does bring out the best characteristics of all the different cars. So we just witnessed Jeff in the Merc, so those things eat curbs, and he utilised that capability of the car to make the position at the end of the track. So yeah, all the cars have their own strengths and weaknesses, and yeah, it's a really well-balanced track for pretty well every car that I can think of here. Yes, indeed. It has been a staple on the British calendar for many years. I don't remember when it first opened, but it's right up there with others such as Alton Park, Silverstone, and Brands Hatch, of course. Snetterton, if anybody wants to
Just in case anybody at home was yelling that at the TV. Snetterton also a very good racetrack there from our brothers in the UK. So 4 laps to go here in this race. Jordan Malcolm is doing a sensational job out front. 7 seconds down the road. Trent Lavis holding on to P2 quite well. John Merritt actually drops down 2 positions now. His teammate Luke Turner is now currently P3. And Adam Lavis is in a good spot at the moment, chasing down Sam Chapman. Will he look to try and fight into turn 1? They go through the chicane. Nice use of the red sausage curbs there. Here we go. On board now, the man. Green Aston Martin. Doesn't look for the inside for a dive. The car is a little twitchy under heavy braking, so it wouldn't be the best choice. Doing well though. I'm also happy to report Sam Chapman's livery is working for me for once. So we can see that he does have a new livery there. The eagle on the side looks quite well.
Not sure if it was team orders or whatever, but it looks like the Pulse boys have swapped the P3 car around to give Luke a chance to attack Trent. John mustn't have seemed to have had much confidence getting the job done.
Yeah, it makes sense. Why hold up your teammate, especially when you've got a 5-second penalty, right? So now he'll be on defence duties for Mikey Hammond here in that yellow Bailey's Ladder entry. You see Luke Turner just getting that slipstream there from Trent Lavis. And wow, John Merritt really putting the defensive moves here on Mikey Hammond, holding him back quite well as Adam Lavis tried to go around the outside. He does get the switchback done, but I don't think he's got the overlap to try and go down into the next section. He doesn't. He'll have to hold back on the Porsche, unfortunately. Sam Chapman lives another day. We'll hold on to P6 for now, but Adam Lavis is closing that gap rapidly. Oh, but he goes wide. Sam Chapman will go wide. And that may give Adam Lavis some room. Actually, it doesn't because of the nature of the part of the circuit. He went off wide and managed to maintain the speed. So Sam Chapman, a lucky one there. He will have dirt on the tyres, which will mean that he won't have the same amount of grip levels. And I think we're seeing that in point. Adam Lavis down the inside. And he will get the move done, but he'll have to try and hold it onto the chicane because it's going to be a drag race now. Sam Chapman will not let this go without a fight. Hard on the brake. He'll have the inside line to the chicane, but it will not work. He will fall back. And Lavis will get the position with Jordan Malcolm setting the fastest lap at 108.938. 8 seconds down the road now for our race leader with 1 lap to go. Or 2 laps to go, sorry. So Mikey Hammond, 1 position ahead. P5, trying to catch John Merritt here. Trying to catch him out and take that 4th spot. Won't be able to fight for 3rd. It's a little too far back. John Merritt's done a great job here, though. He's defended out to 1.5 seconds. So that'll mean Luke Turner will have no worry from the car behind. His only focus will be that green Aston Martin ahead of him, driven by Trent Lavis. And as Brett Bradbury and Kurt Chapman trade places there for P18. It looks like they've swapped back again. And it looks like that was an incident from Brett Bradbury, actually, which caused him to go off track. So we are white flag now as Jordan Malcolm takes the last lap of this race. 14 of 14. There is the white flag flashing on your screen. And Trent Lavis is still holding P2. Mikey Hammond looking, choosing not to go. As Jeff Adams dropping down a ton of positions there. I'm not sure exactly what happened. He goes back down to 9th. Mikey looking for the time to pounce. Not a lot of corners left. The back end of the circuit now, on the brakes. Getting as close as you dare to the back of that McLaren. You might have to look for a drag race down the back straight to the chicane. You've got to try and get the power down. Don't know if it's going to work. We cut to the finish line here as Jordan Malcolm will take the win here of race 1 at Donington Park. And Mikey comes together with John Merritt at the end there. No harm, no foul. Trent Lavis in P2. Luke Turner takes P3 and John Merritt will hold P4. As Adam Lavis also holds off Sam Chapman there for P6. And we see the rest of the field start to cross the line. Dale Sharp and PHF Adams in P9. And Tim Harris comes across in the 10th position, which means he will start on pole for our upcoming race. Just waiting on, looks like Pete Matson across the line to finish us out. And Brett Bradbury there in pit lane to your right. And that'll be the race done and dusted. So we have a look at the results here. So Jordan Malcolm takes the top honours for race 1 here at Donington Park with an 8.9 second gap to P2. He was truly away with it. Trent Lavis in P2, Luke Turner in P3, John Merritt in P4, but does have a 5-second penalty to his name, so watch out for that one. Mikey Hammond couldn't get the job done at the end there, but P5 is nothing to scoff at, and of course he will get some promotions with that penalty to John Merritt. Adam Lavis in P6, and Chapman P7, Dale Sharp PHF, Adams in P9, and Tim Harris rounding out the top 10. So Tim Harris will start on the front of the grid for the next race. Jordan Malcolm will start P10. Gary Cousins, David Baz, Richard King, Paul Wood, Russ Green to round out your 15. Grant Gill, Aiden Schultz, Kurt Chapman, Luke Keamy, and Pete Matto Matson to round out the top 20. All right, so a slight warm-up period here for our drivers, and then we will get race 2 underway. Aiden, if you're there, how'd that race go for you, mate?
Copy, mate. Wasn't the fastest on track, obviously, but I had fun. That was good. I don't have setup as I usually don't, so I'm just trying to redial in my wheel and everything, like I said to you earlier on in the broadcast. And yeah, just having fun circulating, mate. So it was good listening to the broadcast. It sounded like a really good race at the front, that's for sure.
It definitely was. Well, at least was everyone behind Jordan Malcolm. He well and truly just escaped with it. And then, of course, with that fighting between Merritt and Lavis just allowed him to extend that gap more. So considering he starts P10, I'm very curious to see how fast he'll be able to move up through the field, or whether or not the field will bite back and give him a harder time of it. But,
yeah, it's going to be interesting. The way that Donington, and I was listening to Joshy earlier, it creates good racing, and it seems like it's done that in this race. So with the reverse top 10, it's going to be very different with the difference of speed. Of course, we saw there that the difference of pace at the front by the 1.9 car he took off, but it's easy enough to have pace, but you've got to be able to make the passes. So hopefully there's no incidents, and yeah, hopefully it's a good race for everyone at the front.
Yes, indeed. All right, I believe everybody is starting to grid up now, so we'll just jump on board and get that done. Here we go. So Tim Harris will take the top spot on the grid for race 2. Jeff Adams will start alongside him. Row 2 will be Dale Sharp and Sam Chapman, Adam Maverick, Mikey Hammond for row 3, John Merritt and Luke Turner for row 4, and Trent Lavis and Jordan Malcolm for row 5. Gary Cousins and David Baz, row 6, Richard King and Paul Wood, row 7, Russ Green, Grant Gill, row 8, Aiden Schultz and Kurt Chapman in row 9, Luke Keamy and Pete Matson will round out the back in row 10. So, same but different as we come through to the second race. 22 laps, which means there will be a scheduled pit stop for our drivers before the end of this one. So pit strategy will come into effect. You can see the lights coming up on the top of your screen. That indicates that the safety car will be ready to depart momentarily, with Tim Harris at the lead of this grid. Now, he will be staring in those mirrors quite intently, because I would imagine that there's some fast blokes behind him looking to get past as quickly as possible, but it is up to him to start this race. And we'll see just how long he can hold on to that position for. If he can position himself well going into up to the start-finish line, I should say, then he might be able to get a good run onto turn 1. But otherwise, he might get mugged. I would expect to see Dale Sharp possibly try and grab him on the inside of that track. But time will tell as they come to the final chicane. And we get ready to see these guys racing. Here we go from the wave, the flag, waver's perspective. You can see that green flag held high as we wait for lights. There we go. It is green flag conditions, and Sam Chapman wastes absolutely no time as Tim Harris will hold the line. Well done into turn 1. It is almost 4 wide as they go through, but it seems nice and clean. Sam Chapman just getting into the dirt a little bit, but absolutely no harm there, and everybody does make it through turn 1 nice and cleanly, and we have ourselves a motor race. Look at the fighting down here towards the back. That is Trent Lavis in P11 fighting with Paul Wood. Everybody getting side by side, elbows out. They've all raced each other enough. They know what to expect. Everyone's racing hard but fair. I say that as Paul Wood gets slightly spun to the left. He catches the car well, but he loses a ton of positions in the process. So unfortunately, he will drop down to P15. As Russ Green runs up on the inside now. He'll have a run on Gary Cousins. Another one of the Oz Racers boys. Here we go. He's looking on the outside. He's boxed in by Russ Green, though. He has no choice. But to fall back in line, Grant Gill looks to the inside of Aiden Schultz. Looks like he'll get that move done up into P16. As Tim Harris still in the lead of this race, but Jeff Adams is barreling down on him as Gary Cousins also looks to try and make a move on Richard King. Chooses against it though. Paul Wood will fall back in line as well. So that's P12, 13 and 14 on your screen at the moment. We shoot up to the front of this motor race here. Sam Chapman in P3, running down Jeff Adams in the Mercedes. And Sam trying to do a very early attack, going incredibly wide. Going into turn 1, it didn't quite pay off for him. He didn't gain... Oh, sorry, he did. He gained at least 1 position through that debacle. Dale Sharp was the one that dropped back into P4. He himself under attack from Luke Turner. Slight gap there. Mikey Hammond also behind the Echka Toyota entry there. He'll be looking to try and get some revenge for that first race. Couldn't quite get past John Merritt, but on this one, he'll definitely try and get past Luke Turner. See if he can finish on a better spot. So we are lap 2. Or we'll start lap 3 actually momentarily, I believe, as we cross the line. Yes, we do. Tim Harris still doing a great job leading the front of this motor race. And John Merritt having a sniff on the inside of Jordan Malcolm. Thinks against it though. Too early in the race to do silly moves. As we are racing on an overcast day, you can see the sky there, which is, let's be honest, it's just par for the course here in England. Do they even know where the sun is? Over there, I don't think they do. And Trent Lavis there in P10 as well. Oh, as Hammond goes off! What happened there? We'll see if we can get it on our screens. So on board with Mikey Hammond in the Porsche. And... oh, he spins the car! He spins the car! Luckily slows down on the grass. No damage for Mikey Hammond except his ego, as he loses a ton of positions there, and a relatively safe rejoin there from the Bailey's, or the Bailey Ladders entry. And John Merritt looking on the inside here of the chicane, chooses against it. Now it's him and Trent Lavis again. Trent Lavis will shoot up on the inside and take P8, as David Baz actually takes P9 away from the McLaren, and John Merritt finds himself boxed in again. So David Baz will try and look to the outside, gives a little nudge to the Aston Martin. Bit of wiggle. But he manages to keep it on track. David Baz trying to hold the line. It's actually more beneficial for him as they come down to the next section of track. As race control give us information. A 5-second penalty for Brett Bradbury with contact with Luke Keamy on the first lap. Jordan Malcolm here, P7 at the moment. 3 positions gained. Started P10 on this race due to the reverse grid. Chasing down Adam Lavis there in P6. Lavis with a bit of a gap of his own, 1.5 seconds to the rear of Luke Turner in P5. And we're starting to see some gaps start to form at the back end of the grid. Jordan Malcolm, nice and easy down the inside. No fight there from Adam Lavis. So Malcolm will take P6. As Luke Turner looks to do the same to Dale Sharp. He's drag racing him down towards turn 1. Luke Turner will have the outside line if he can keep that arc. It'll be beneficial on the speed value. The BMW takes the title line, so he's ahead for now. But Luke Turner will try and get him down the straight, which he will. And that'll give him the more, or the better line coming into the next sector. And there we go. Luke Turner up into P4. Dale Sharp down to P5, which puts him closer to the jaws of Jordan Malcolm in P6. Sam Chapman doing a great job in P3 at the moment. Jeff Adams holding on as well as race control. Demon racing incident between Luke Turner and Michael Hammond on lap 3, which I believe maybe that was a slight cause of the spin for Mike Hammond.
Yeah, it was. So Mikey got a little bit sideways, and Luke was racing very close, as I always do, and yeah, he had nowhere to go, so bit of an error.
Fair enough. So Mike Hammond joining in P14. So a lot of work for him to be done, but we still have pit strategies to go, so all is not lost. Possibly might be able to bring this back as we see Jordan Malcolm at the back there. And look at this. Trent Lavis getting the draft from his brother and cohort in the Aston Martin. And that's actually allowed him to make the move on Jordan Malcolm. So look at that. Trent Lavis up into P7. Jordan Malcolm drops down into P8. What a fantastic job. So Adam Lavis holds on to P6. Allows his brother to get the draft. Position gets gained. Good job there from the Aston Martin boys. Jordan Malcolm now falling in line. We'll try and get an overtake done. Oh, it looks like Adam just allows his brother to go through. So definitely some talking. Or maybe not. They are drag racing. Maybe it's a bit of sibling rivalry here. Jordan Malcolm tries to shoot it up on the inside. Looking. Saw the advantage. Will hope to take it. As it's now top speed battle to the chicane. Now, the Aston Martin of Adam Lavis is ahead, but Jordan Malcolm has the advantageous line. No, he will fall back and take the safer option. Very good racing there from everybody. Just a bit wide there from the McLaren, but he catches it nice and well. As we go on to lap 7, Tim Harris still in the lead of this motor race. Jeff Adams close behind, and Sam Chapman also fighting for P1 there. As another racing incident deemed, so John Merritt contact with David Baz on lap 4.
Yeah, so that one, I'll shed some light on that one. Basically, I had a look at a couple of the other cars' braking zones, and once again, boys are running really close as they always do, and I deemed a little bit of being a bit unpredictable. So unfortunately, I deemed he broke about 20 meters earlier than everyone else, and when you're running that close, there's nowhere to go, unfortunately.
Sam Chapman and Luke Turner slightly trading places here at the front. Luke Turner wanting to keep this position as they come down to the chicane, which he will. So Sam Chapman back into P4, where he started this race. And it looks like Jeff Adams pulling in early, so he will be the first to pit, I believe. Actually, no. Richard King had already come in, it seems. Or maybe not. It's saying he's got a pit lane transit time, but I don't think that's the case. David Baz has, and Russ Green also did as well. So Jeff Adams coming into the pits there. See if we can get the pit laps up there for you on the screen. Just so you have a better idea of where the pit strategies are at the moment. Tim Harris still leading. Luke Turner in P2, Sam Chapman P3. Dale Sharp in P4, Trent Lavis P5. Quite a substantial gap there for Dale Sharp. 2 seconds back. Trent Lavis 2 seconds back of his own accord as well. And Adam Lavis 1 second back. So Jordan Malcolm still in a fighting contention for P6 at the moment with Adam Lavis. Everyone else from 10 onwards. Massive gaps there. Paul Wood, though, in a fight with Luke Keamy. Dropping 3 positions from the start of the race. You can see just a slight bend in the front of that Mercedes. Following close behind. Oh, just giving a bit of a hurry up there to Luke Keamy. Pete Matson trying to defend this position from both of them. As Luke Turner sets the fastest lap, 109.24. Oh, Luke Keamy just takes a little too much curb on the inside. Does he decide to come to the pits? No. He just goes out into the inside, hoping not to impede. He will shoot straight back in front of Jeff Adams, though. Doesn't want to give up that position too easily, as Jordan Malcolm coming out of the pit lane. Jeff Adams shoots up on the inside. Will gain the position there on Luke Keamy and take P16 as Jordan Malcolm rejoins in P18. So a couple of people pulling the trigger so far. The majority of the grid yet to do their pit stop. So Jordan Malcolm hoping to do it early and maybe utilising the free air to run up some time and jump everyone else once they do their pit stops. So on board with Gary Cousins here, P13 at the moment. 2 positions lost from the start of the race. Brett Badbury 2 cars ahead of him, the biggest mover at the moment, 10 positions gained, and he's holding off Grant Gill and Gary Cousins here for that 10th spot. Doing a good job so far. And it looks like Grant Gill will shoot off into the pit lane. So a free position there for Gary Cousins as he moves up into P12. And then a nice close battle there between Pete Matson, Jeff Adams, and Paul Wood. As you can see on the back of frame. Moving up to the front of the grid here, Trent Lavis chasing down Dale Sharp here. 4 positions gained. So doing well so far. Yet to pit though, so we'll have to keep that strategy in mind. Obviously the real fight for him is going to be with Jordan Malcolm. But also the guys at the front there, Luke Turner and Tim Harris, Sim Chapman included. He will go shoot down to the... Nope, couldn't quite get that done. So we'll see if he can reset here, possibly go into turn 1. It seems a little far back. I don't think he's got the space for it. So for now, he will just follow that BMW around the track.
Looks like Jordan jumping early. It may have backfired a little bit. He's come out into a lot of traffic and cars that, dare I say, he would rather be in front of.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that timing tower, and it doesn't look like he's in a great position there. So Gary Cousins comes into the pits. That allows him to get past. Still stuck behind Jeff Adams there and Paul Wood. Based on how this guy's going to pit, I think you might be on the money there, Josh. We'll see as the laps dwindle down. We're halfway through this motor race, lap 11 to 12. As Trent Lavis does get past Dale Sharp, he moves up into 4th place. Dale Sharp now under attack from the other green Aston Martin. That'll be Adam Lavis. They're in P6. John Merritt also close by. And I wonder if they'll choose to pit from this lap. Just have a look at the orientation of the car as they come around. And none of them choose to do so. They stay out on track, so they're going for a longer stint. We'll jump back to Jordan Malcolm here. P14 at the moment. Pit stop done and dusted. He'll be looking to try and get past this Mercedes as fast as possible. And he'll be using the draft to do so. Looks to the inside, decides against it. Instead, we'll try and keep a tighter line here through the chicane, possibly go for a move into turn 1. So Jeff Adams also already done his pit stop, so these guys will be racing to the end as Mikey Hammond comes in for his. Jeez, look at that sky. It's almost blood red. Someone has angered the gods here at Donington, but unfortunately no rain yet. But we might see rain come soon. A development update, a recent one, hinting that Tempest, their weather engine, iRacing's weather engine. Oh, as Jeff Adams goes wide, that's going to allow Jordan Malcolm around the outside. And he gets that done with relative ease. Up into P12 there for the McLaren driver. Yes, as I was saying, Tempest, the weather engine for iRacing, is ready for imminent release. It seems as though they will be aiming to release that weather engine in stages. It will be car-based at first. I believe the first ones will be the Mazda MX-5, the Ferrari 296, and the Formula Ford. And then they will test that over time and then release more and more cars to that weather engine as they iron out the kinks, which is probably the safest move, to be honest, because otherwise I can only imagine the devastating I-rating losses that would incur if they were to just release it all in one go. But it'll be very interesting to drive using that engine. Apparently it's very, very detailed. There will be multiple weather fronts that can happen on the same track if that is what the system allows for.
Yeah.
And
My take on that one, Dan, as well, with the MX-5s, like, it's pretty brilliant, you know. Throw it on the rookie series. They know how to use it, and I've never seen an angry rookie before.
Well, I mean, if you're going to throw it on a car, the MX-5 is probably the best one to do it on, because the speeds at which that you achieve, given the relative new state of the engine, it's probably the best one to iron out the kinks on, because if you go ahead and say, oh yeah, we're going to bring it out on the Formula, let's say that we'll bring it out on the W13, as cool as that is, you don't have the population running to get the data you want, right? Whereas the MX-5s, everybody races the MX-5s. So
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
yeah, I can see why that's the case. But that'll mean that it's fun. I petition that once that comes out, whatever the car that it releases on, Joe Baldwin, if you're listening, you must make the next session that car, and it's under rain.
And you're only allowed to do 3 laps.
That joke will never get old. All right, so lap 14 at 22. Luke Turner in the lead of this motor race from Tim Harris and Sam Chapman, P2 and 3. Neither of those guys have done their pit stop. Neither have John Merritt and Adam Lavis. Yeah, you're watching for P4 and 5. I wonder when they'll decide to pit. It won't be now, but it looks like Richard King will pull the trigger. So Richard King, P6, pulls into the pits now. That'll mean Brett Bradbury's the only car behind him who hasn't done a pit stop. Actually, no, sorry. Pete Matson, Luke Keamy, P12 and 13, and Aidan Schultz in P15 yet to do a pit stop themselves. So the majority of the grid have now come in. So we're starting to see things settle towards the end of this race. Luke Turner doing a great job out in front, 1.6 seconds. Tim Harris held it for quite a while. Unfortunately, did get pipped, as Richard King will rejoin, it seems, in P11. Jumping back there, P9, Jeff Adams. Chasing down Trent Lavis here, doing a really good job. Unfortunately, 7 positions down from where he started this race, but in any case, you've got to be happy with the top 10 position at the moment. Mercedes GT4, biggest car, I believe, in that pack, but it also has the most grunt, and arguably sounds the best. Maybe the McLaren is better. But doing a good job nonetheless, as Sam Chapman will go in. That'll be because Turner and Harris both come into the pits. So Sam Chapman going 1 lap more. This is very characteristic from him. He always has an eagle eye on his fuel numbers, which is apt considering the decal on the side of that car. So he'll be looking to go at least 1 lap more, and then hopefully using the fuel advantage to his competitors. We will see how that develops, but everyone behind him has come in. That'll be Turner, Harris, Turner, Harris, Merritt, and Lavis. And look at that, Malcolm managing to go up into P4 after all that. So it still worked out. He came out in traffic, but still comes out in P4. So now it'll be a race for him to try and catch Tim Harris and the bunch, 2.5 seconds back. But for Jordan Malcolm, that is I wouldn't say easy street, but considering his pace, I think he'll be able to do it. We'll see if he can keep a straight line though. As Trent Lavis sets the fastest lap, 109.21. That is actually a tied fastest lap between him and Jordan Malcolm. So it will go down into the thousandths of a second, which unfortunately I cannot see right now, but Trent Lavis is the one holding that fastest lap at the moment. So looking at the gaps here, they have all exploded across the grid. Adam Lavis still within a second of John Merritt, and Grant Gill within 5/10 of Brett Bradbury there in P17 as Sam Chapman comes into the pits. And I must admit, that is not a great resolve. So he went 1 extra lap on fuel, but it did not amount to much because he is behind Jordan Malcolm who was one of the earliest pitters in this race. So Sam Chapman rejoins in P4. He'll have a tough time to try and climb back in front of the rest of them ahead. Oh, and he goes wide coming out there too. So he's really got to watch that because he has a very angry green Aston Martin behind him. Barreling down. Just passing the back markers. They are. That is Pete Matson there in the Orbic entry. Just allowing Jordan Malcolm to get past. Sam Chapman will be coming up to that entry shortly. And I'm sure blue flags will be waved there for the 173. Try and allow them to pass without interference. There we go. Shoots up onto the inside of the field. Blue flags is never a great feeling, but it is what it is. Lap 18 of 22. So 4 laps to go in this motor race. 20 minutes in, 21 minutes in. Jordan Malcolm very close to Tim Harris here in the BMW. Tim Harris also doing an exceptional performance. Started P1 and is currently P2. So only losing 1 position out to Luke Turner there. But doing a great job with the defense. Now he's got purple McLaren in his rear view. See how long he can hold this advance off. Nonetheless, a great job so far, but Luke Turner is starting to really extend that gap, and Malcolm will want to get a hurry up because the longer he sits behind this BMW, the more time he will lose. And that'll be working. That'll be exactly what Luke Turner wants. Oh, and there's a mistake. That's a mistake from Luke Turner. And he has dropped all the way back to P5, and that has allowed Jordan Malcolm to shoot up the inside and take the lead of the motor race. That was not what I expected to happen. I don't exactly know what happened there. We'll jump on board and see if we can. So just look there for... Oh, he just goes wide and spins the car. Keeps it out of the barriers. But not what you want to see leading a motor race. Trent Lavis on the inside of Sam Chapman now. Can't quite make the move stick though. Falls back in line, but it is now truly a fight for the lead. Each one of these cars within a second of each other. And Tim Harris probably shaking in that seat with the amount of cars barreling down on him right now, but has to try and put up that wall of defense and hold on to the position. And I can only imagine Luke Turner's probably looking through a sea of red after that spin. All on his own, no fault of anyone else, so you're looking to just try and get that, restructure that head and get back to the race. Hopefully try and recover some of the positions that were lost. Adam Lavis in P9, chasing down Dale Sharp there in the red and black BMW. And John Merritt in P7, which is where he started this race, funnily enough. And Lavis got a really good exit out of that corner. Here we go, round the outside. He'll try and keep the speed up into the next section, but it'll be... Oh, and Tim Harris gets caught up here, but he doesn't get it boxed in. Sam Chapman actually goes wide. That's going to allow Luke Turner to shoot up on the inside and take P4. So Sam Chapman, not a great end to this race as it stands when an extra lap on fuel came into the pits, resolved in P4, losing out again. And even after the spin, Luke Turner manages to get him. So Sam Chapman now down a position again, P5. Trent Lavis up into P3. A great moves from him at the moment. 6 positions gained. And all throughout, Tim Harris holding on to P2. Great drive here from the BMW.
I think Lobesy will be buying Tim a beer after this one. He definitely balked Chapo. So, yeah, he will be happy with that.
That's it. Sometimes you have to use the other drivers on track for strategy, and that's exactly what happened there. Tim Harris kept that inside line. Sam Chapman got caught out by it, went wide. Trent Lavis followed Tim Harris into the corner. That gave him the position over Sam. Sam going wide also allowed Luke Turner to go up on the inside there. So an unfortunate one for Sam, and we've only got a lap left in this race as Jordan Malcolm is just coming on the back straight now to start that final lap. 24 minutes and 42 seconds have gone past, and it seems as though Jordan Malcolm will take both races at this pace. As he crosses the line to start the final lap. White flag. As Jordan Malcolm makes his way around one last time. Trent Lavis in P2. He's got that BMW directly in his sights. Trying to find the opportune moment to pass. All the while, fair back. Have a look at Adam Lavis. Trying to go on the inside here of Dal Sharp. They make their way down towards the next section of corners. Lavis will be in a really good position. Sharp gives him the room. And Adam Lavis up in a P8. Great drive there. And Trent Lavis managing to get the move done on Tim Harris. So Lavis up in a P2, but with a 2.8 second gap, I don't think he'll be able to catch Jordan Malcolm by the end of this race. Sam Chapman shoots up the inside of Luke Turner. Return fire from the Porsche. Luke Turner manages to stay ahead, though, on the exit of the corner. And Jordan Malcolm will come into the final chicane. And here you have it. Took the first race by 8.9 seconds, takes the second one by 2.8, and Trent Lavis comes across in P2, Tim Harris in P3, and Jeff Adams tried to get Sam Chapman to the line, but could not quite squeeze it out. 0.005 splits those two. You see the rest of the field make their way to the line. Mikey Hammond there in P12, Gary Cousins P13, David Baz will cross the line in P14. Decent drive from Brett Bradbury. Look at that. 6 positions gained from start of race. Nothing to scoff at there. Grant Gill, Paul Wood, P16 and 17. And Aiden Schultz still travelling on the back end of the circuit. He will be looking to take P18. Defending from Luke Keamy here. Seems like a pretty straightforward session here. Yep, into the chicane. Nothing crazy. There we go. So, Aiden Schultz will cross the line in P18. Lukemi bring up the rear in P19. And that'll be the end of that feature race. So there we are, the results for your second race. Jordan Malcolm wins yet again with a 2.77 margin. Trent Lavis managing to get that move done on Tim Harris right at the end there. He manages to take the second spot. Tim Harris in P3, Luke Turner in P4. It was a nice race between himself and Sam Chapman, but Luke Turner did take the honours there. Sam Chapman finishing up behind. Jeff Adams, John Merritt, Adam Lavis, Dale Sharp, and Richard King ran out your top 10. Kurt Chapman, Mikey Hammond, Gary Cousins, David Baz, and Brett Bradbury for your top 15. Grant Gill, Paul Wood, Luke Keamy, Aiden Schultz, and Pete Matson for your top 20. So we will shoot over to our post-race show. And we'll just wait and see if anybody chooses to join us here in the commentary box from that race. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one at home. It was quite an eventful 2 races there, which ultimately led to Jordan Malcolm taking out both. So that's very good points from the 1-9 team. And a shout out there to Tim Harris, who did an excellent job defending right at the front. Started on pole, ended up finishing P3, so did really, really well there with the fuel strategy, as well as the defense. So we can start to see some drivers making their way into the booth. We'll welcome our winner of both races here, Jordan Malcolm. Jordan, an excellent showing for both race 1 and 2, But I was starting to fear for you on that second one because that early pit stop into traffic looked like it might have been a mistake, but you made it work.
Yeah, it was the start of the second race was going pretty well until I got behind Dale Sharp and couldn't see behind that big BMW of his. And may have cut one corner a little bit too much and got a slow down and dropped a ton of time. So yeah, went for a undercut strategy, try something different. And yeah, the traffic around here, you never know how that was going to work out, but some luck brought me back into the equation. Yeah, unlucky for Luke spinning out the lead, but yeah, lucky to get the win with that one in the end.
Yeah, it's the theory made sense to me when I saw it. When it was being actually came into the other car, I thought, yep, that makes sense. He's at the back. He's going to try pit early and then maybe get some clear air, get the time back. We'll see what happens. But then Josh in race control pointed out that unfortunately, yeah, you had exited into traffic, so it was under doubt. But no, you did make it work. You are right. It was unfortunate for Luke Turner. All on his own, came out of that final chicane and just maybe a little bit too much throttle or going a little wide on the outside. He spun. So that gave you a free position. And then, yeah, you shot up right on the inside of Tim Harris and took the lead of the race, which was really well done from you. Let's just talk quickly about that first race, though. That was a much easier endeavour. 8.9 seconds you won that race by. It was truly you and everyone else.
Yeah, the important thing around here was getting off to a clean start, and this track's pretty hard to overtake, so if I knew I got the start, I was going to be driving somewhat safe. And then it helped that I think it was Merritt, and then Treno, they were battling pretty hard behind me, so at that point it was just putting it into cruise control and just bringing the car home in one piece.
Yes, indeed, they were having quite an interesting fight, that is for sure, which I will touch on with Trent as he joins us in the booth. I'll get to you in just a moment, sir. Looking forward to the schedule that we have, I'll just bring that up for you. So obviously we just did Donington. We move on to Circuit Zandvoort for round 8, Interlagos for round 9, and Mount Panorama for round 10. Give us your thoughts on the upcoming tracks and what you think.
Zandvoort, it's a track I've never really driven, so we'll see how we go there. Interlagos, I won't be here due to working supercars at Adelaide, and then Mount Panorama is always a fun track.
Good. All right, no worries. Thank you for that. Eddie, do you want to give a shout out to any sponsors or anything before we let you go?
Just shout out to the whole team over at 19. Yeah, over at Chris and the gang over there. So yeah, just shout out to all the boys over there. And obviously you guys for the broadcast and everyone for a good race tonight.
All right, thank you very much, mate. We'll let you go now and have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our second place finisher for the second feature race, Trent Lavis. Now, a couple of things. You had a really good showing on both and you had great pace, but Jesus, that fight between you and John Merritt on that first race, huh? That was a close one.
Yeah, mate, it was a bit of a door banger, bit of a door slammer, but always good hard racing against Jono, and a few little bumps went either our ways there, but it was still cracking fun, having a bit of a run, and man, I had to work for it, that's for sure.
Yeah, he didn't take you out. There was a couple of ones. There's one there as well. He always just tried to push you that extra bit. Gave you a little bit of wiggle on the back, bumping doors. It was fantastic to see. He unfortunately did get dealt a penalty on that first one. He lost a bit of traction on the rear and just bumped you a little too harshly, so he got dealt one there. But on that second race, again, we just saw on the screen, I thought he was going to run you again. I really did. But you managed to keep that car straight, and then David Baz actually pulled him up, which gave you the run and allowed you to get ahead to everyone else. Okay, I didn't notice David Baz exited stage right there, but he did.
Yeah,
I didn't catch that on the broadcast.
Yeah, there's a cut amongst the pigeons there when he was sort of mid-battle. It was pretty cool, though. He did a great job, defending as well. And shout out to Timmy Harris. He had a cracking night tonight. Keeping up, didn't make any mistakes.
Yeah.
And he was very, very kind to me last night. I don't know if he had made a mistake there on that last lap, but he definitely had the pace on me, mate. He was driving really well. So shout out to Timmy for a great drive in that second race.
Yeah, I will echo those sentiments exactly. I was saying it all throughout the broadcast. I'm not familiar with you, Tim. I am new here at the GSRC. I'm not sure how long you've been around, but I saw you start on pole, and I honestly thought, and this is on me, that you would get mugged. I thought that those fast guys were going to come through and absolutely take you. But no, you held your line, and bar a couple of small mistakes that allowed Jordan to get up on the inside of you, and of course Trent to pass you at the later stage of the race. Finishing P3 is no mean feat. So that was just an old fight. I was in GT4 for ages. Well, for an old fight, you did exceptionally well, and you should hold your head up high. Trent, I'll just get your opinion on the tracks coming up. Do you have any particular thoughts on Zandvoort, Interlagos, and Mount Panorama?
No.
No.
It's not a good run for the. Oh, Zandvoort, the Aston might actually go okay at Zandvoort. I don't remember driving it yet, so I don't know whether it's the new track or the old one. But the Aston struggles on tracks where you have to put power on and turn out of corners. So like tonight, I basically got one hand behind your back because the thing will just try and buzz the tyres with all the torque that it's got. So over the back there in this circuit, for example, I'm sort of sitting 80% throttle, trying to stop the thing from lighting them up and cooking the rears. So any tracks that are nice and flowing, car's fast. But hopefully, Zandvoort will be a good run for the car.
Zandvoort might actually work out for you. There are a couple of technical corners in Zandvoort, but I think the last sweeping bank turn might work out for you because the Aston Martin seems to work well in a draft. So if you get a good run, you'll probably be able to use that bank to your advantage and then make the pass down the main straight. It'll be yet to be seen. We'll see next week, but hopefully that one works well for you.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It definitely doesn't have a very good showing in the officials, the old Aston, but hopefully it gets a bit of a bop and comes back to its former glory one day soon.
100%. All right, thank you for chatting with us. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out before we let you go?
As always, the Bailey Ladders Aussie Races boys. They always look after us and do a great job. And obviously myself, Lazy Racing. Why not? Got to give myself a plug here and there.
Exactly right.
And Jordan, league of his own tonight. Absolutely cracking drive. Nothing we could have done with him. So awesome work for Jordo. He's a class above, and nothing that I can do to help. But well done to all the other drivers and everything like that. And poor old Lukey Turner bombed himself at the last race. So I'll have someone jump on his website and buy some merch to keep the bills paid for him.
Oh, definitely. It was an unfortunate one there, all on his own. But that is racing. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Thank you very much, Trent. We'll let you go. And
Thanks,
have
mate.
a good one. Of course, Trent Lavis, Lobesy Racing, what he mentioned before, that is the sponsor of our Up-and-Comers series. And so we are very appreciative of him and all that he does. Sam Chapman. Let's have a chat, sir. Now, I really thought you were on for a cracker race. You went one lap further than everyone. I thought, yep, this is on brand for Sam Chapman. He's done the fuel numbers, he's crunched them up, he's done the math, and he's going to go ahead. But unfortunately, you did not exit out in a prime position.
Yeah. To exit out in a prime position, you actually have to be close to the cars ahead of you. And by that point, I wasn't, due to a myriad of errors. So, to be honest, to be as high as I was surprising. I just didn't really get enough practice in tonight, and particularly through the final sector. I just never quite nailed it, particularly in that first race. It was completely hopeless. So, that's a learning experience. I'm sort of happy we, I guess, somewhat got away with it. But yeah, it's sort of a what could have been because. With those fuel numbers and hanging out with the guys out front, I should have been able to, I guess, push forward with it. But that requires you to do some consistent laps.
Well, look, you ran a good race regardless. I mean, again, like you said, you weren't up there on the pace to try and make that pit strategy work. But regardless, you did run a great race. It was unfortunate for you with the battle with Luke Turner. He got past you due to a slight mistake, and then you almost had him on that final sector coming to the end of this race. You tried to shoot up on the inside, but am I right in saying that the McLaren just has a little bit more straight line speed?
I think it does. That was one of my myriad of errors. I looked down halfway through going, how the hell is he going around my outside, and realised I was in fourth, not third. So, so that explains at least some of the pace differential for him going around the outside there. And yeah, that sort of gave that spot back. But at that point as well, I was on 13 out of 15 incident points too. So I couldn't afford to, have a touch with him and have a 4X because I'd have my, third 40-second penalty in the last like 4 weeks from that for going over incident points. So it is easy to get incident points around here if you try and push a bit much. But yeah, I think it was also just that front right tyre just pushed it a little bit too hard, as can sometimes do with the Porsche. But yeah, I think just too hard on the brakes, not enough of a deft touch, and then once you lose that front tyre, you're really trying to get into that exact day, particularly through that final chicane, trying to get that apex exactly right, and you just keep missing it.
Yeah, well, like you said, this track does lend itself to off tracks because the corners bait you into trying to carry way more speed. Turn 1 especially, I saw you get into the dirt a couple of times there, and it's very easy to do. Luckily, the iRacing patch does solve a lot of those issues because you still have that the grip that allows you to maintain, and it also worked in your favor in race 1. I believe Adam Lavis was chasing you down. You went wide coming out of the corner we just saw, and you kept your foot in it, just drove back onto the track, and you didn't lose the position. So yeah, we'll just look away from that one.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm okay with that because it wasn't an overtake, and you know, he still gained a bit of time on me. So like, it wasn't overtaking, gaining position off track. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's sort of getting borderline there. I mean, once again, I think as far as time's concerned, I don't think it would have made too much of a difference. You could always sort of do that a little bit through there. And yeah, as I said, it sort of slows you down more now as well, as having a bit more grip. So yeah, no, I mean, yeah, there were plenty of opportunities there. It's a great little track, but it just needed, you know, as you do with the GT4s, to be right up, I guess, the front of them. You really need to get that rhythm, get that real pinpoint accuracy that just, I guess, wasn't on tonight.
Yeah, 100%. And it's also more realistic, too. If you were to watch a GT4 race around this track, that is exactly what would happen. Someone would go wide and they'd still be able to maintain that speed. So
yep.
I agree with that 100%. I'll get your thoughts on the upcoming schedule. So Zandvoort, Interlagos, and Mount Panorama. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so I've not done this car around Zandvoort before. I think with that back banking, I reckon there'll be a few more overtaking opportunities, and I think it will be a lot of fun in these as well. Could do a bit of a number on that front left again if you're not careful. Interlagos, great track, you know, no comment. That will create awesome racing as it always does. There'll be plenty of overtakes. There's so much room to race. That middle section will treat these cars beautifully, and then you'll have heaps of overtaking opportunities. You know, and what can you say about the mountain? Like, you know, it's one of the greatest tracks in the world. So, am I particularly good around the mountain? No, but it will be a good race nevertheless.
I agree with everything you just said, except for one tiny little fact. It is the greatest racetrack in the world, and I will hear absolutely no other opinion. Thank you, Sam. I am also looking forward to anything around Mount Panorama. I absolutely love, and I think you're right. Zandvoort will provide some really good racing. I think you'll be able to go 3, possibly 4 wide down the main straight. It's a fairly wide main straight. So hopefully coming out of that banking, we saw excellent racing there in the Vs, which is the series that you helped run. So hopefully we see the same from the GT4s.
Yeah, absolutely. That was brilliant fun. I mean, it'll be slightly different, but I do think it will create good racing. It is a unique track. I really do like Zandvoort, so I think that'll be brilliant. But yeah, and also well done on running relatively solo tonight. I didn't realise till I jumped to the booth. How'd you go?
It was. I think I did okay. I will admit that because I was running solo, there is a procedure that I run through every time we switch from the Downforce lens to GT4, where I go through and mute mics and this and that. And because I didn't have a co-commentator, I didn't go through that procedure. So I spent the entire first part of the GT4s, and there is no commentary. I'm speaking to myself. So that was great.
Yeah, I've been there. How far through the race did you get before
I think it was 3 laps or something like that. And then I look at the
2-3 laps isn't too bad.
I'm talking to Josh in race control, and I'm like, why isn't the bar moving? Sure enough, I had forgot to unmute. It happens to the best of us. Sam, did you want to shout out anybody before we go? Actually, I'll keep you on board while I cross over to Jeff. But yeah, is there anybody you want to shout out?
I don't think any particular shout outs tonight after that. We'll leave it be.
No, fair enough. Now, I will cross over to Jeff Adams. Now, Jeff Adams, Sam Chapman had a fight between himself and Luke Turner for the end of that race, but Jesus Christ, you were incredibly close to making yourself part of that. 0.09 was the gap between yourself and Sam Chapman at the end there. If the start line had been just a little bit further, I think you would have pipped him for P5.
Yeah, I made a mistake by pitting too early. I was trying just a bit of a gamble, trying to get out of the way because it's a bit of a session around here. You can't really overtake anywhere without taking too much of a bomb dive, or you got to wait for someone to make a mistake. So then I pitted early, which then I ended up losing like multiple positions because of it. So it was silly of me to do that. But yeah, right at the end there, having that bit of a race, having a chase down of Sam there, and almost I had to save a little bit of fuel because I short fueled myself, which I'm an idiot for doing. But which also didn't help me trying to close up on them because they were fighting.
Yep.
And because they were fighting, I thought, oh yeah, I could probably close up. But then every time I tried to close the gap, my fuel thing would tell me, oh no, you're only going to have 0.2 left at the end of the tank. So I'm like, oh, for God's sake. So I got to lift and coast. I had to lift and coast, and then I'd lose the space. I'd I'd fall back a bit. But yeah, the first race, I definitely made a silly mistake there at the end of the race. I thought it was the last lap, and I thought it was finished. I thought it was checkered flag, and it was actually only last lap. So then I went from 6th to 9th in turn 1.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that's why I ended up. And then the whole time I'm thinking to myself, oh, these guys are going to think that I did it on purpose to get the reverse grid.
It's funny how that.
I was wondering what was going on there. I almost went up the back of you. I was like, geez, you got to slow down. Like, what the hell's happening?
No, I just lifted because I thought it was the end of the race. And then a few people zoomed past me, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, oh, sorry. But anyway, yeah, I screwed up, made a mistake. And yeah, it's after 9. You can swear on okay now.
It happens to everyone. It is
about 4 o'clock in WA, but
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
No, so just to point out, so it is always a knife edge when you're dealing with a fuel strategy like that, right? Which is now you obviously admitted that it was a mistake that you underfueled, but usually you're trying to find that line where it's like, how can I have the car cough when I touch the finish line? And then it's I've got to maintain the pace, but I can't go too fast because then the fuel comes under. So I do understand and sympathise with that strategy.
Yeah, I was definitely trying, because when I was, it was a bit of a random to throw into just pit early, right? I shouldn't have done that because I was running on, the toe sitting in some, I was getting a bit of a toe and saving some fuel behind. I can't remember who it was that I was following, but at the lead there at the front. But I was just following him along, just following for ages, and I knew I had more pace, and I could have, if I cleared him, I would have got away from him, but there was nowhere to overtake. So yeah, made that decision, and yeah, unfortunately, it was the wrong one. I don't think I would have been, well up the top there, but I could have been at least, 4th, maybe 5th, or I could have been closer to Sam at the end there, and could have been just that little bit closer right there in there. So, you make these little mistakes, but you move on.
Yep, that's racing. We live and we learn. Give us your thoughts on the upcoming schedule. So obviously Zandvoort next, Interlagos after that, and then we finish on Mount Panorama.
Yeah, they're all. Yeah, I've never done the GT4s at Zandvoort. That's a new track too, so they've got new banking, so that'll be interesting.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and then Interlagos. Yeah, I don't mind that track either. It's not a bad track. I think greatest track in the world, Mount Panorama. Can't say no to that one. That's obvious. I really haven't done much GT4 there, to be honest. I've only really done GT3 and V8s. So apart from the obligatory bloody mountain men that I do every weekend. So it's definitely not. I haven't done. Have we done a mountain men with the GT4s? We might have.
I don't know, because usually we're always doing like the obscure stuff, right?
Rare, yeah, that's right. So I can't imagine a GT4 really being on the list. But
speaking of mountain men this weekend, Miley MKX prototype. Those cars are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever driven one, but that around Mount Panorama will be awesome. We'll probably speak with Joe about that a bit more tomorrow. as Zach
Yeah,
will
definitely
overtake,
looking forward to it.
duties. Yes, excellent. Also, I'll get one more piece of feedback from you. The Mercedes GT4. What have you driven the other GT4s, and what do you find is the difference? Because I see it as very heavy, and lumbering in those corners.
It is. It's got a weight penalty on it. The GSRC's got its own BOP there, and they've added 15 kilos to it, plus minus 1 horsepower. So, I mean, it definitely feels like. I mean, it's a front-engine car, obviously, so you're going to have a bit of change of direction. It's going to be a little bit different than those mid-engine cars. But you know, the BMWs can't imagine that's never really been a strong car in the GT4s. But it just seems to be one of those cars I can't seem to keep up with. But this track, the AMG definitely got punished on this type of style of track. So yeah, it definitely needs a little bit more open air. I think. I don't know. It's definitely hard. Like the Aston Martin, I would say, would have been the pick for this season. But you know, it's the car I like. It's the car I've been driving. It's the car I drive with most cars. So like it's you know best that chopping and changing cars is never the greatest thing to do. So you kind of it's always best to just stick with what you got and just keep doing it, and you just eventually get better. It just makes it a bit hard when they when you practice doing VRS stuff where there's no penalty, and then you come here and you've got to readjust your transition in weight shifting and stuff like that, because the car definitely feels a lot different when you drive with this car. Definitely your laps show as well. Yeah, so I'm a bit disappointed that they've got the BOP so high on this car. I really am hoping they revisit it and have a look at it. But at the moment, yeah, just got to drive with what I've got. So yeah, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the AMG?
What I'll do is, just for now, I'll cut over to Sam. Sam, have you driven the AMG?
Very briefly. I haven't spent much time in it. I think what hurts, Jeff, is that Sam Muir was so good in it last season. He's an excellent driver, right? So it sort of makes sense. But I think it was even given back a little bit of power this season. I think it had even more on it last season. So, but yeah, it does. It's often really good around the corners, very compliant and very predictable.
Yeah, it can take the bumps. I feel like it can take the bumps.
Yeah, but sometimes it depends on the setup. It seems to be that some of you guys are running, like I remember at Fuji last week, where there were times where the Mercedes couldn't keep up with the car. Mercedes couldn't keep up with the cars in front. There were times where it looked really quick. So I think there's a bit of a differential in setups as well happening. But yeah, I think that power penalty hits a bit. Obviously that weight penalty hits a bit. I did notice it sort of in the Porsche when I first sort of got into it, with that sort of 10 keg weight penalty, that it does feel a bit different to what you're practicing in. It doesn't sound like much, but it's enough just to shuffle things around a bit. And I don't actually know where that weight ends up, whether it's just evenly distributed or what. But
yeah, the ballast is somewhere. I don't know where it is. I don't feel like in the AMG it's in the middle. I think it's in the boot.
Yeah, no, it felt like that in the Porsche as well, to be honest, I reckon. So yeah, I don't know what's happens with that. I think all in all, it's actually been a pretty good, well-weighted series, this one, because we do actually have a really good mix of cars. You've got a few Mercedes, you've got a few Bimmers now, which we never saw. The Astons look pretty competitive in the right hands. And the Porsches certainly have their day as well. So, the fact that I guess on screen right now we're seeing a Mercedes, a Porsche, a McLaren, and a Bimmer makes me lean towards it's pretty well set. But yeah, I mean, I haven't driven the Mercedes a lot, so it's hard to know and hard to sort of differentiate. It is a dominant car in a lot of officials and a lot of other series, at least historically. But whether that is still the case, I'm not 100% sure.
What would be
Yeah.
interesting is, and I don't think this information is available, but making BOP for cars is actually a very, very, very difficult task because you need a lot of data, and obviously we don't really have the resources or time to gain that data, so we do with what we can. Maybe the BOP will get revisited for future seasons. I'm not too sure. I know that for the, for example, the IMSA eSport, the iRacing series just started, and they outsourced their BOP, and the way that they did it was they had the top teams. This is actually really interesting. They had the top teams who were all driving different cars, and they had to provide the BOP data. Well, they had to provide performance data for their car and one of their competitors' cars, and each team was given a different competitor car. So what would happen was, even if you tried to tank your performance metrics to get a favorable BOP, your competitor who was given your car was going to push that thing to the ragged edge for them to get the ultimate data. And because every team did so, they were able to get the data that was required to create a fair and balanced BOP. And it seemed to work really, really well, at least for that first round. They did say that there'd be tweaks each round because, of course, it is an official series. But yeah, I just thought that was a really interesting way to gather that BOP data. But what would be very good is if iRacing would publish what their BOP is for their official
never gonna do
series,
that,
and then we'd
unfortunately.
be able to copy it. But no, you're right. So that's what makes it difficult. I don't know if maybe anyone's figured it out or if there's anywhere to find that information. But until then, yeah, we are sort of limited.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do
what
like
comes
your
back
idea.
to
I do
as
like
well.
that. So.
Yeah, so like it just comes back to as well. Like each track is going to have a different, impact as well. So you'd have to go through a really wide variety of tracks to fully go into it. I know, so like Adam adjusts it each season. So I know at the end of last season there wasn't major tweaks, but there were a few sort of minor ones. So like the Merc got a little bit more power. I think the Porker got a little bit. I think and the McLaren, maybe even the Bimmer got a bit more power as well. And there was a slight shuffling of weights to sort of, because the Porsche looked pretty strong towards the end of last season, to sort of bring it back, I guess, a bit in line. But yeah, it's going to be so dependent on the tracks and that as well. So, I mean, it's a hard one to do. I know other series as well do sort of, I guess, whichever car's winning the most gets bopped. So I guess that sort of bops the leading drivers as well if they're going to go after it too. So that could be an option, but once again, adds a lot of complexity. And to be honest, I think it's pretty even at the moment.
Yep, well, that'll be something
Yeah.
that we might have to look at. But for now, we deal with what we've got. Thank you very much, guys, for chatting to me.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel.
Not a problem.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
So what we'll do is we'll just quickly go and have a look at the upcoming schedule for the week ahead. So tomorrow we have the Formula V's at, let me see if I remember this. I think the Formula V's are at Laguna Seca.
Yep.
And the Porsche Cup is at Watkins Glen. Both are going to be exceptional races. I am actually very keen to see what the V's look like around Laguna Seca. I think it'll be an absolute riot. Then we've got Friday, the series that should not be named, the US Open Wheeler at Circuit de Neves Magny Core. Race starts at 8:30 p.m. That'll be 40 laps around that circuit. Saturday, we've got the Mountain Men with the Riley MK XX prototype, the Legacy car. That'll be 32 laps around there. I'm sure that will be a riot as well. I've driven those cars a couple of times around some smaller tracks, so I think they'll be good. They feel very they feel a little bit more planted than an SR8. So I think it'll be some really, really good racing there. Monday, Super 2 V8s from the Chicago Street Circuit, which was developed for the NASCARs. So now we take our version of that over there and see what that's like. 25-minute race around there. Then we go over to Fuji International Speedway for the GT3 series, and all of those drivers who are competing in this weekend's Fuji 8-hour will get plenty of practice for that. That'll be a 60-minute enduro starting from 8:45. On Tuesday, the up-and-comer series, Mazda MX-5s at Tsukuba. Name a more iconic duo. Tsukuba, fantastic for those smaller formula races, and that'll be no exception. 3 races there from 7:55, and then GT1 to the New Hampshire Road Course for 35 minutes around there from 9:40 p.m. Australian Daylight Time. Then we come back to Wednesday, New Hampshire Road Course for the Downforce Legends. 2 races, 15 minutes to 25 minutes with the top 10 reverse grid. 7 1:45, and then this GT4's got a Circuit Zandvoort for a 40-minute enduro race around there. Should be a good one. And then Thursday that week, the Formula V's go to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. I can already hear Zach's yelling in the background. That'll be for 3 races. Excuse me. And then the Porsche Cup will go to Fuji for a 60-minute enduro. We will say thank you to our sponsors before we head off. So thank you to everyone on the screen here. Flash Graphics, M-Wave Australia, Login Systems, sponsor of our Enduro series. Orbic, the sponsor of our GT4 series. Waste Options, the sponsor of our GT3. We thank them for all their support. Lobesy Racing, sponsor for our up-and-comers. There's Trent Lavis and his group. Player One Sim Gear and Sprayton non-alcoholic cider. For those of you who want to pick us from GSRC merch, head over to merch.tgsrci.com or gsrcmerch.myshopify.com, and you can get yourself some hoodies, shirts, or some stubby holders for Christmas. Maybe a good one that also supports the club. And if you want any more information on the club, you can go to race.tgsrci.com. We thank you for tuning in tonight, and we hope you've enjoyed yourselves. We will sign off again. Come back tomorrow night, where Zach Caven will take up his commentary duties, and will bring you the Formula V's and the Porsche Cup Series. I've been Danny Carrier, and I hope you've enjoyed yourselves, and it's goodbye from us for now.